All right, so going down the line, let's set the rest of our params. Job description drag. Company URL. Company URL. Oh, there it is. Whoops. So website. In this case, there's no other URL like it. Not even sure why I had that. Okay, yeah, I think some APIs return multiple URLs, or I guess if you consider the application URL being, yeah, but just a defined generic one too, just in case. So we can set the same thing there. Company ID. That's job ID. Company ID. Do we even need a company ID? What would we? You know what? I think this job on a SOC. Yeah, I don't think this API, if I remember correctly, provides like a company. Yeah, company ID is actually coming from LinkedIn typically, I believe. Job reply. Okay, let's keep it going. For the name, we'll use employer name, company name, and employer name. Again, just like these generic values, if sometimes they're different, sometimes not, so it depends. So salary insights. So we see here job min salary. Actually, if we were to data, so it'd be like to dot into it, JSON data. Yeah, see, so the way we fix it here, again, something changed in the schema from when I initially had drafted it and just quickly set up to how we're actually doing it now. So the reason it's coming up as undefined is because we're referencing a value that doesn't exist. It's as simple as that. So in order to make it exist, how do we know that? It's the entire JSON, the money sign JSON that it's looking at, pulling from. And then we need to tell it that our job min's salary key, which is this one of it's a digit number, is in the data array, in the data data object. JSON right now it's wrong, and why again? Because it's going JSON straight to job min max salary, but those keys are not in JSON, those keys are in data. So as we do that, it fixes it. Same thing, good practice for some of the most basic coding you will do if you're not coming from a code technical background. And if you are coming from very technical background, then this is just easy peasy review. So data, oops. Okay, so make sure all of these are correct. And yeah, so multiple ways that you can do this process is the important part. You can always just drag and drop back and forth, or if you do know the structure of how these things are set up, so everything's always in double curlies, we're identifying it with the money sign, and once you can navigate this, then you can start to create these dynamic strings pretty easily. Okay, so again, as you can see, immediately when we identify or put in the correct expression and the item becomes found. Even here we see our little helpful pop-up allows us all these options, so we can just pick something else if we want it. So yeah, I prefer to do this directly in like this. Sometimes, again, it just depends on how fast you're developing these automations and how much AI stuff's running. Yeah, just the overall volume. But for now, just so that we get the idea, as you can see, we're quickly fixing all of these data mapping issues just by adding that .data into the path, and that way we're then looking at and referencing things correctly. So almost there. We've set here which API this is coming from, and actually that needs to be adjusted, because if we look here, yes, this is our JSearch, okay, just to confirm. And then inside of our, basically I had created, it's an option set in Bubble, or essentially in just an enum controlled database item. And we have the list of like just all the APIs. So whatever method you're using to do this, but you may, especially when you're working with a whole bunch of APIs that sort of do different things or completely different things, but still deliver the data that you need. So you can just simple as, keep track of that. And this is actually gonna need to change. Okay. And I think what also needs to happen then, let's go to data. We're in Bubble. These option sets. So 1 second. It's called this. Again, when you're managing large, as you could see, lists of enums, this project does have a ton. So I prefer to just paste the results rather than... Anyway, so here we have all of our APIs that we're using and working with. We need to send in the exact value that we are using, because if it's not that, then it's gonna reject. So here it's not Rapid API. Actually, I prefer to change it here. Okay, so now you see this will match, right? Schema is coming here. So we're not in the main database, not in the data types, but just this specialized option sets area. Here we have just a simple enum, a list of things here that allows us to then reference these wherever in association with our data. So very simple. Then we just provide the base URL, as that sometimes is used in the API. Okay. Then this is correctly set. So we'll still do reference ID, for which we can use job ID, set that. And then the poster ID, same thing. Okay. All right, so everything is back to green. There are more keys being saved here, but overall similar results. So different API delivers, this is like a bit redundant data, so we're looking at the same sort of service or the initial Google Jobs aggregator provider, and now we've seen how one API scraper, a wrapper around a big service, can deliver data in one way, and then this JSearch thing here, for example, as we saw, it delivers a little more data. It's likely that in production then this will win out, and as the API grows and our connection to it, so let's take a look now, actually send these items in. So again, everything is going into the correct environment, setting the type of item in, which in our case is called this, and then just defining our keys, which are coming from all of the data type columns and stuff like that. Let's see. Yep, can we go ahead and do the save? Are we going to run into any issues? No. So no issues here. Straight 10 items deposited. Again, the further opportunities with this are to create a pagination kind of thing and grab more results. But for now, we're just going to do the same thing